This is a trailer hitch from a Land Rover Series truck. It's an original Land Rover way back in the day. So what I want to do is, you can see here it's got the hitch on there with a single hole, which was probably used for, looked like there was another piece here that stuck out, and it was for, you could drop a pin down through to move stuff around the farm or whatever you have. And then they have these hooks on top. So my plan is that I'm going to cut these guys off, cut this off. You can see the bolts in the back. They're just rusted on in one piece. So what I'm going to do is cut this off. And then I want to do is I picked up a 2-inch receiver off of Amazon. And this is a weld on. It's all steel, no paint, no nothing, all raw. And it's a Curt receiver hitch. It's a 2-inch by 6-inch receiver tube. So the plan is to weld, cut this off, see how much space I have, and I'm going to cut this out, put this down, cut this down and out, and then weld this in. So once this is welded in, I plan on, this is also, I picked this up off of Amazon. So this is your chain hook, your safety chains. So I plan on welding that somewhere on the bottom of it. So it'll go like that. Then while I was at Amazon, I went ahead and just bought a new pin too, which I don't even have a receiver for yet, but I'll get one sooner or later. But this whole total, these 3 parts were $20 shipped on Amazon. So that's pretty cheap for this. And the main reason why I want to still use the original one is because I already have one. And plus I want to put the receiver hitch on there so then I can put any type of tow ball on there or any type of receiver, a bike rack. You could put anything into this kind of receiver. So if that's on there, it gives me versatility more than just having a hook with a hole and everything. So the main thing is that this is coming from an original Series truck. So from the original Series truck, they had an extra plate here to tie into the rear cross member that's going to get bolted onto. I'll show you that it used to have a spacer. It used to have a part that holds on the rear tub of the Land Rover right here. So it has a spacer right here that's actually, it's just welded on, it looks like. So we'll take a closer look at that, but I'm going to cut this piece off too. Then it had these spacers here and these thicker spacers up here. So it actually used to just rest on these washers and this spacer here together on the rear cross member. So I plan on cutting this off and I'll show you on the truck. But you can see here, somebody thought that the bolts weren't good enough, so they actually welded. You can see the welded it to the rear cross member of it. So let's go to the truck and I'll show you how it's going to fit. This is the old cross member that I cut off. So you can see here it has this plate going right here. So this used to be just like this on the back and had the spacers there to clear this. So then I will go over to the new. So it used to go on just like that. This is the new cross member, all new and replaced. So this is going to go on there just like that. So the new cross member came with the right size holes for here and here, here and here, here and there. So now they no longer make it a plate like here. They have it a piece of angle iron going back. So all this needs to be completely flat and cut this off and everything, and then it can mount straight right onto the cross member. So I'm going to give this thing a clean up and cut everything off and see how everything's going to lay out. Okay, I cut off. Now I got the back plate cut off. This was on here, the spacer. I got that cut off. You can see I dug a little bit too far out. Probably filled that up with some weld there. But cut these guys off, cut those off, and then this guy, cut these bolts off. I cut them on the head side of the hitch. I cut them on this side instead of the bolts on the back side, so then I wouldn't cut any of the metal away. So then I end up cutting parts of this metal away instead. So anyways, we got this. You can see it's all clean in the back. These welds were huge, but they took a while. But I took a cutoff wheel and cut off as much as I could, and then ground it down the rest of the way with a grinding wheel on my grinder, 4.5-inch grinder. So I'm going to take, these are the original bolts that was bolted in with, and I'm going to see how much space we have underneath for our receiver. Okay, let's go look. Okay, here we are at the truck. I'm going to use these bolts as reference bolts for now. I'm going to buy some new ones. I'm going to put them into the bottom holes. And there it is. Now it sits flush against here. Kind of see how the hitch bolts up. So I'm going to take a Sharpie, make sure that's in the holes. The holes are lined up. I'm going to draw a line on the back of the hitch. So we know, and do that again. So then we know right there, that's as high as the receiver can go in to that line right going across there, which is very similar. Put these out, which is actually pretty similar to where that plate was. You can kind of see the Sharpie line right there. So let's see how the hitch is going to line up, the receiver. Okay, we're back at the workbench. Now here's the line here that we drew with the Sharpie. So if we take this, and what I want to do is I want to align this with the bottom as much as possible, because I want the hitch to be as low as I can get it. And you can see I still have roughly 1/4 of an inch or so up above until you hit that line. So we got pretty good space here. So what I'm going to do is center it up. I don't know if you see what I'm using here. This is a real handy tool, but you can get it at the dollar store. It's a set of calipers, but it's not, it's not really too accurate, but you can go to the dollar store and pick these up. They're very nice to have. So if you ever need to measure something like the inside of something or the outside of something, or you use this part to find your depth of a hole or whatever, but it gets you pretty accurate. So if you ever find one, go to the dollar store and pick one up. There, so we're just about centered up. See, now I'm using this as a spacer, so then at all 4 sides here, we're lining straight up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie, and what I want to do is I'm going to put a line around. And I'm going to cut this piece out right here. So then the receiver, if it's sitting on the back of the truck, it'll look like that. Kind of look like that whenever it's in there. Okay? I'm going to cut this out now. Alright, here we go. With a little bit of cutting and grinding, a little bit of cutting with a cutoff wheel, I now have it stuck in there. And this is what I was trying to show earlier, but you can see it better now. So I have it sticking out enough You can see there, it's sticking out enough so that I could take the pin, I could slide the pin in there, and I could slide it back out with ease, no problem. And so let's go take the 2 bolts again. We'll go test fit it and see if it fits on the truck. Also, if you ever was wondering how thick this metal is, look at that. That is plenty thick. Again, use my trusty dollar store calipers. It is roughly just what would that be? 7/16 thick. That metal, or 2, 4, 6 millimeter thick. So that's some pretty thick metal that was in there. So let's go fit it up with the truck. There is one thing I have a concern with, is this bolt. So I'm wondering if it's going to clear that bolt. Actually, there's a nut welded onto the bottom of the cross member. I don't know what it's for, but it's there. Hey, there it is. It's kind of what I was looking for, what I was hoping for. And you know, I can get the pin in and out. And I'm thinking also this can be a step for someone to get into the truck, so they can step up onto it to get up inside, because the back end sits kind of high. So down here, I'll show you down underneath. See there's a nut inside there, and it's just clearing it enough that you don't have to worry about it. And those holes right there that you might see, there are 3 holes. That's where the gas tank, which is sitting over there, it lines right up with those 3 holes, so it'll clear the gas tank as well. So pretty happy with the way it looks so far. Okay, so now I have the receiver all cleaned up, clean metal going around. You can kind of see here, so I kind of put a chamfer along the edge of the hitch, of the metal plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a full bead weld here, and then a weld on the other side. And then also, I took a square, I squared it up on all 3 sides, so it's perfectly square with the hitch. With the plate is square with the receiver. Now what I did, I lined it up so this part, so the bottom, it sticks out a little bit, but that's okay though. So it's straight with the hitch horizontally. So we got it vertically this way 90 degrees, and then this way straight with this plate as it is. So the next I'm going to do is run the weld around. All right, here's the finished product with got it all welded all around the edges. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. Got some good welds going the whole way around this side. So then this was welded on here. So then the ring on the bottom, you see, I welded across here, and I put it, I don't know, about 1 inch from the edge. I didn't really get too technical with it, but I welded across here, and I welded where the 2 pieces where it gets wrapped around, and it's right here. I did a weld right there. Then I did a weld along inside here too. So it's on both sides of the safety chain hook. Okay, so looking at the bottom, now I had a concern that the hitch was going to move like this from side to side. So I kind of wanted to put some braces onto the back side. So what you'll see in the front, this is what you'll see on the front of the back of the truck by looking at from the outside. This is what you'll see. So on the back side, I wanted to get something to stop it from going side to side and maybe help it from tilting this way as well. So what I did is, you remember that piece I measured, the piece I cut out from here to put this in? What I did is I took that plate and I cut it diagonal in half. And then I did the same thing here, that I cleaned up those edges and put a bevel on it. And I took them about, so So I was pretty happy because I thought, well, why don't I use a piece that I already have? So I took that piece, cut it in a diagonal like I said, and then trimmed it and make it fit in this area right here. So cleaned up the edges of it, put it in, I put it in about a 1/2 inch from the edge up, and fully welded that along here, here, and right here. On both sides, all this is all welded all around. So I thought that was a, it kind of came to me, it was a kind of a surprise. I was like, I want to put it in brace, I wish I had more metal. And then I realized that I had this piece, which was actually one piece, that I cut out into the center. So I cut it and put it on there. So I was pretty happy the way it turned out. So so I'm happy with the welds. It's all done, it's all welded up, it's really super solid. So I have no complaints and I'm super happy. And the only thing is that this, from welding it, kind of pitched this up 1 degree. So this is actually tilted like this. Tilted up a little bit, only like about 1 degree. So, but I'm not really concerned about it. But some people might think, hey, you know, how do you know what this is rated at? Like how much weight are you going to be able to pull with this thing? And my concern is more that is my truck it's only 66, like 60 horsepower, 66 horsepower. So I don't plan on hauling or towing anything heavy. Just have a receiver, even though it's rated probably really high. But it doesn't matter because I know with this truck, I won't be pulling anything really, really heavy. Maybe a trailer or put a bike rack on the back or something. I don't know. Whatever. If I want to pull something, tow something, I have it to tow it. But it won't be anything crazy heavy. So the next step is I'm going to measure for the bolts. Then I'm going to order some bolts up and I'm going to paint it all up. So I'll see that when we come back. Okay, so I have the hitches all painted up. I used Seal on all of it as a primer, and then I painted it all with flat black Rust-Oleum, just the same as I'm doing with all the chassis. And then this is the back plate. It goes right here with this, but on the back side, it would be on the other side of the cross member for the bolts. So that's all painted up. That's ready to go. So what I ended up doing is ordering bolts online. And a lot of times I order bolts from McMaster Car, but you have to order like 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or even 50 or whatever bolts. So what I found was this place is actually the Bolt Depot. I've seen them before. I've gone on their website. It's an excellent website, and they are not paying for this promotion whatsoever about this, but you can go on there, you can order the size and the quantity that you want. So you can order 1 or 20 or 50 of them if you needed to. So they're a very nice website. They have a lot of information about nuts and bolts. And if you do have any questions about nuts and bolts, they have a lot of information on their website. So they're up in, let's see, Hingham, Maine. So I'm down here in Pittsburgh, so it was shipped here within a day. So everything I ordered all came individually wrapped with their own little bag and their quantity. So they really do a nice job getting all the hardware together and everything that you need. So check out their website. I'll put a link down below. It's a very nice, very quick way to find bolts and nuts. So what I wanted to do, I'm sure you could probably find these locally, but what I wanted was a fine thread bolt. So whenever it gets bolted down, it'll be a little bit stronger going in. But they're all grade 8 bolts. And they have a zinc coating on them, but they're grade A bolts. So they'll be super strong. Grade A bolts, nuts, washers, everything is grade 8. So this sucker ain't moving nowhere once it's on. And for the bottom one, it's 5/8 bolt and it's 5 inches long. So that should give us plenty of space to get through here, the cross member and the retaining plate, all back behind there. This one I did I think it was, yeah, 3/8, 4 inches long, which is shorter because we don't have the retaining plate to go through. And the washers are thinner too. All the lock washers are thinner than this and these or whatever. So the top bolt needs to be shorter than the bottom bolt just because of all the bolts and hardware. And again, grade 8. Everything is grade 8. And check out boltdepot.com. A lot of great hardware on there. Alrighty, I'm going to go bolt it up now. Alright, here it is. All bolted up. The 5/8 down here. 1/4 inch up on top. Oh, 3/8 I mean up on top. But all the black with the zinc bolts, I just think it looks great. This is exactly how I wanted it. Everything is flat black, so nothing's shiny. I don't like all the shininess, but I do like having those nice bright bolts right there. Those look pretty good. So, while trying to fit the 2 bottom bolts in, I'll show you underneath. I couldn't use the washers, the lock washers. So, what I did. Okay, so the cross member has this lip going across, and I couldn't get the nut down in there with the washer, with the brace plate here in the back with the washer, and then the lock washer and the nut. I couldn't fit in this space to get the bolt to go through. So what I did is I put the bolt through, then before I put the nut on, I put some blue Loctite. Put some blue Loctite on there, which isn't permanent, but it helps it hold on. So then what I did is I just torqued it down until it's tight. So the top I could use the lock washer, that's no problem. I had lots of space. So anyways, so that's it. It's all on there, bolted down. So I'm super happy with the way it turned out. It's just perfect. This is exactly how I like it. How I liked it. All right, thank you. See you next time. Good luck with your hitch.